From time skips to Unicron cells, the EDC survival and Teletraan 1, alongside what really happened to the Transformers. Prepare yourself as we break down every frame of the Transformers Reactivate trailer. Starting off with the beginning of the trailer, we get to see Marcus Irving, Percy Anand in the background, followed by on the left side Cassandra Fairborn. Also to note, for the first scene, we see protocol setup, scanning Marcus Irving. Human male, age 43, error found, data incorrect, affiliation EDC, non-hostile. Online, critical damage.
This ain't working. We should melt it down for ammo.
Our next clip is that of the splash damage logo translating from Cybertronian to English. Our next scene showcases Delvin working on Bumblebee, while Bumblebee is also scanning Cassandra Fairborn. We can see he scans Cassandra Fairborn, but he comes up with a negative match. That's because he's trying to pull it from his database of Marissa Fairborn, which is her mother. We can also see in terms of the translated Cybertronian, at the top of the screen we see protocol setup, in the center we see unknown hardware detected, memory core link established, status offline, recalibrating at. Far left again we see scanning, Marissa Fairborn, error, match incorrect, human female, age 32, affiliation EDC ally. So again, Bumblebee has recognized that he does know of Marissa Fairborn, he also knows of the Earth Defense Command, he also knows that they're allies, so we know that much. And then we also see searching for match unknown, match incorrect, which again is probably because he's trying to match for Marissa Fairborn. On the far right, we see scanning unknown, human, age unknown, affiliation unknown, searching unknown, human, age unknown, affiliation unknown. Following this, we get a flashback scene of what appears to be our first encounters with the Legion Harvester coming down to Earth. For the Cybertronian text on the left, we see it convert to searching organic life unknown, searching inorganic life unknown, possible form deep spacecraft, ship designation unknown, searching for match unknown. Given the fact that we just came from Bumblebee being worked on Delvin, I'm assuming that this is a flashback from Bumblebee's point of view. Now, in terms of the deep spacecraft, we know that to be the Harvester, in which we know it will have spread off tendrils that we'll talk about later on. The tendrils are these red tentacle-like things that you've probably seen from the promotion art that go through all the buildings, the underground, and you'll see in the sky. Now, also for the Cybertronian on the right-hand side, we can see response protocol HITX, hostile landfall, damage assessment catastrophic, overwhelming loss of life. From here, our next scene cuts back to a couple of Delvin, in which we see some more Cybertronian. On the left-hand side, we see equilibrium core state, status reconnected, fault found. And then we also see fault found in 3 other different sections, top, right, and then middle right. Now from here we get to see a greater new scene of New York, in which we get to see disintegration on the buildings. Alongside that we see the tendrils going through these buildings, again these red energy tentacle-like things that connect back to the Harvester. We also see a bunch of Sentinel Rocketeers, of which we know that you see flying around. You can also see, if zoomed in on the screen, you see 3 EDC tanks. We know they're EDC tanks because we'll come to that later as we've seen it in the promotion art, in which you can see all 3 of the tanks slowly progressing towards the Sentinel Rocketeer, which you can see by comparison just absolutely overwhelms the tanks in size. Again, on the right hand of the screen, we see going up the buildings more Legion enemies. We're unsure to what the exact enemy type is of these. This then follows up with the screen panning up, in which we get to see more Sentinel drone enemies from the Legion, and we see some Cybertronian translating to enemy swarm detected in the center, and on the left hand side we see multiple hostile units. Designation unknown, EDC weapons ineffective. So I'm sure with that being said, we know exactly how this is going to end for the EDC. Again, we see more of the tendrils going up and inside of the buildings. We then get a quick flashback to Delvin, and then another flashback back to Bumblebee, and then followed that up with Ratchet and Ironhide by his side. We watch our trio progress forward, going towards what looks to be the Harvester's landing point. Following that, they go past the Statue of Liberty head. We also get more Cybertronian on the screen. On the far left, it reads Ironhide status, damage unknown, signature lost. We get proximity alert, battle computer failing, power backup failing, energon converter failing, system status critical, 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 multiple hostile signatures massing on formation, Ratchet status damage critical, and then we see in the bottom left 39 miles per hour, which would be Bumblebee's speed. After this, we then see him encounter what looks to appear as the Brute. We see his face, we see all 4 eyes, and his mouth, alongside what looks to be the familiar status of what seems to be the Sentinel archetype. You see these claws on his feet. These are also held by the Sentinel Rocketeers we've seen, and we'll see as the Sentinel Troopers. After this, we see Bumblebee getting offlined, then followed up by a scene that looks to be sort of like a reboot. We can see we've got a bunch of Cybertronian, so at the top of the screen this translates to IO initializing scan scout recon. On the far left, we see response protocol HITX, again, hostile landfall, designation, Legion, origin, unknown purpose, conquest, purpose, harvest, battle report, failure, 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 proximity to allies, signatures, unknown, last known objective, neutralize Legion. And then we see in the center, we've got all systems reactivating, armor core sequencing, and then energon levels scanning. Also to note that the icons you see underneath this at the bottom of the screen mirror that of the game's UI icons that you'll see inside of the compass. After Bumblebee gets rebooted, he's welcomed by Percy Anand, Cassandra Fairborn, Mercus Irving, and Delvin Winslow. Followed by that, it looks to appear like Shockwave is in the background of some sorts. We also get to see what many of you might not know is Teletraan in the background, so that is actually Teletraan 1. And we're actually currently inside of the social hub, which is named the Teletraan Hub. Followed by that, you can see the computers in the background, which I have a couple of notes on, which I thought was interesting. Not only is these computers hooked up to Teletraan, which I realized in hindsight, but you can actually see a brute being scanned. We can see Bumblebee being scanned, which means it's pulling from his memory. We see the invasion timeline. We also see another enemy type, two actually. The one on the right side is nicknamed the Exploder Drone. And on the far left, I'm unsure as the current timing, but we also see those in the trailer as well. Now, in terms of this panel, I'm assuming it to be an Autobot system protocol, due to the screen and all the information coming from Teletraan 1. Next up is also a screen of two maps detailing key interest locations. I'm assuming these are landing points either for other harvesters or other key interest points of where the Legion have made their stay. Now, one thing I wanted to mention is the tattoos of Marcus and Percy. Percy also seems to have a robotic arm, and possibly she has some form of cybernetics in her gut, mirroring that of, say, Fennec Shand from the Book of Boba Fett Star Wars series. Now finally, we've got the last of the Cybertronian. We see in the top left, memory core status 100. Begin protocol RVXV, reactivating, all systems operational, unknown hardware detected, human technology integrated. So this obviously confirms that Marcus and the humans working on Bumblebee and helping him to be reactivated. Now, to cover the press kit and some of the Easter eggs, we see Berger for Greg Berger, the voice actor of Grimlock. We see Are All Dead etched into the Statue of Liberty's head, which is a reference to the comic issue number 5 of the TF Marvel Comics with Shockwave. We also see multiple times Prime Cola, which is a reference to G1 and Transformers Devastation. And on top of that, we see a mini Optimus Prime toy right at the end of the trailer on the side desk. We've got what looks to appear as a Ratchet-skimmed Scourge SMG. We see the EDC logo on tanks. We see the EDC logo on debris, which makes me think this was a possible EDC outpost that has crumbled. We also see Ratchet and debris disintegrating. And we also have the Times Square New York City location thanks to this sign. Now I have a couple of noteworthy mentions I want to make. In terms of the Legion, they have been mentioned before via the Transformers universe, being that of Transformers KISS players. I all know what you're thinking, so I won't delve on it for too long, but hear me out, there are some interesting things. So now, you'll just have to follow me for a second. Okay, so Unicron mutated cells in the Transformers universe refers to that as the transformative and dangerous biological agent derived from Unicron, a planet-devouring entity in the Transformers lore, which I'm sure you all know. These cells have the ability to affect other beings and machinery, often resulting in new, powerful forms of Transformers. This concept plays a key role in the Transformers KISS Player series, where the impact of Galvatron after being ejected from Unicron by Rodimus Prime crashes into Tokyo, scattering these Unicron-corrupted cells across the Earth's atmosphere. This leads to significant consequences for the planet, including the transformation of Earth machines and creatures into new species of Transformers known as the Legion. These new beings are created with the Unicron-enhanced cells that fuse with various entities on Earth, becoming a major antagonist force within the story. Now, does this have any relevancy to Transformers Reactivate? Well, not only are the Legion, in terms of the KISS Players universe, the only other reference we have to the Legion, as in our Transformers Reactivate, the Legion, which is kind of odd, it's the only other thing in the franchise that matches, but Unicron mutated cells are interesting, as they could be a parallel to the nanites, of which are the makeup of the Legion in Transformers Reactivate. If you really think about it, what are cells at the end of the day? Like Unicron mutated cells. Obviously, cells are just little living organisms. If you translate that to like a transformer, what really is it? I mean, it's basically a nano, right? It's almost the exact same thing. Like, I don't want to say the story of Reactivate is based off KISS players, because it's really weird to say. It's kind of suspect, but you can't exactly deny the parallels of obviously the Legion, our Legion, being made up of living biomechanical nanomachines. And then you've got mutated Unicron cells. I mean, obviously we don't exactly know how the Legion came to be. I'm sure we'll find out in the story, but it's just, like, why did the one thing, the KISS players thing, have to link in like almost so perfectly? It's just really weird. Oh no, I'm just thinking of like in the future, bro. Like, what you trying to explain the lore to someone, and immediately you've just got to come with Kiss players. It's just why did the one thing have to be this, man? Since we're on the whole Kiss players universe, I just want to mention something that's pretty interesting. What I also found out is that of the Kremzeek bullets. That's a tongue twister and a half. So Kremzeek bullets are used in the Transformers Kiss players series as a form of ammunition that harnesses the properties of Kremzeek, an electrically charged enemy being from the Transformers universe. Kremzeek itself is a mischievous and destructive creature created by Megatron that can interfere with electrical systems and has the ability to multiply and teleport, causing chaos among the Autobots by shorting out their circuits. So in context of the Kiss Player series, these Kremzeek bullets are used by the Autotroopers, which are the human-created artificial transformers serving as the Earth Defense Command. Again, man, why does it have to link in with the EDC? Oh my. But yeah, these bullets likely contain or mimic Kremzeek's electrical disruptive abilities, making them effective in combat against other Transformers by leveraging the destructive properties of Kremzeek. Which I wanted to bring it up because obviously we saw early in the trailer that the humans' weapons are ineffective. And since we know the Transformers and Bumblebee have been offline for a matter of anywhere from 10 to 20 years, that being from Marissa Fairborn, right? If he's scanning Marissa Fairborn and we've got Cassandra Fairborn, that's got to be some form of time skip. And we also know they've been offline for a while, right? The Earth has been taken over by the Legion. So what on earth have the EDC been fighting with? Because they're not going to be able to use the Cybertronian weapons. Like, they're way too big, that technology they might not understand. Though you could argue the fact that they have Teletraan 1, it makes me like question why it took so long to reactivate Bumblebee if he's so-called the first Transformer to be reactivated. Because Teletraan 1 knows how to bring back like the Autobots, the Decepticons. Teletraan is like this massive, like insane supercomputer with all this knowledge. So like, let's just scrap that idea anyway. But like, you would think at least Kremzeek bullets, that's entirely possible if they have access to Teletraan to modify their weapons for that, right? It's not like they're then carrying like Energon-based weapons or like Cybertronian weapons that are like 50 times the size. They'd have to be in mechs or like something like that. But Kremzeek bullets are possible, and it would make sense. It would still fit in because Kremzeeks are like to disrupt the techno-organics, which we obviously know the Legion are made up of, so it still would work. But I don't know, I thought it was an interesting note nonetheless. Again, it comes from the Kiss Players universe. It is a good idea, and it would make a lot of sense, because otherwise, what have the EDC been doing? How have they been fighting back? Have they just not? Have they just given up? Have they just bunked up in the hangars and just off they went? Because we obviously know they're still out there fighting. I mean, that's how they recovered Bumblebee in the first place, but yeah, I don't know, because there's no way they're using Energon weapons, because they already said they're short on Energon. That's why Marcus didn't want to work on Bumblebee in the first place. So I can't imagine they're using Energon for anything other than powering their systems. Like, I can't imagine they'd be wasting on like Energon-based weapons. I guess possibly, but again, like Kremzeek bullets feel like they'd be a better fit to modify the already existing arsenal, right? Like the only thing you'd maybe have to modify would be like maybe tank shells. I don't really know how that would work anyway, but it's still a cool thing to think about. Realistically, it's not going to matter in the long run since the Transformers being reactivated. The EDC like will just be helping and doing everything for them anyway. Like I can't imagine they'll be of any actual use, at least in terms of like the progressive story that we'll be taking over. I mean, if they let the Earth get this bad in the first place, then clearly whatever like technological advances they've made, it wasn't enough anyway. Actually, on a side tangent though, realistically, Energon's probably going to be used for just powering their system, since we know the technology is used to power ground bridges, or at least I'm assuming it's to power the ground bridge tech that we use to navigate across, because like Bumblebee comes into the story through ground bridges. That's how we teleport within the game. I'm assuming that that's probably like, if we're like connecting bases and stuff like that, ground bridges make a lot of sense, but that's probably why in the beginning of the story we're going to have to go through, we're going to have to siphon a bunch of Energon through Energon extractors, bring it back to base so we can upgrade the base, you know, get the typical story. We start from nothing and then we build up the massive base, we get our base of operations fully operational, then we get to go across to different locations on Earth. We'll use the ground bridges as our teleportation. It makes me wonder, because like obviously at the end of the story we should be like halfway decent. Obviously we've got Shockwave, we know Shockwave is in the game, and obviously we saw him in the back of the trailer. How long is it going to take him to like actually just make like a full-on space bridge? Like how long is that going to take him? Like, I can't imagine it's going to take him too long. Like the dude's an actual genius, so like how long is it going to take for us to go off planet? If it comes to that in general though, then what happened? Like that just expands everything. Like what's happened to Cybertron? Like has the space bridges in general been shut down? Like obviously like you can factor in colony worlds as well. Like obviously the colony worlds might not like care or know about the war because of obviously say it takes the continuity of like when the Rust Plague was spreading and then the Cybertronians shut off the ground bridges from the other colony worlds. Then the other colony Colony Worlds weren't exactly too happy about that, so they kind of just like ditched them. So I could understand why maybe you're not into Contact on that, but how would that go with like the Legion? Like we could easily go off to other like Cybertronian colony worlds. Maybe the Legion are also there. Like Ground Bridges open up a whole another like level of tech. I've got like a story universe video I'm working on for like the game and how it fits into the overall universe. And like bro, it's because crazy for anyone. I'm sure most of you guys already know. I mean, some people don't know, but like Unicron got retconned in Rise of the Beast to also being Multiverse again. So by that logic, Unicron is forced to be in Transformers Reactivate. Whether you believe it or whether you like the multiverse or not, it doesn't matter. The multiverse is in Reactivate, whether you like it or not, due to Unicron being retconned this way back again. He's forced to be here, whether we see him or not. Like whether you want Unicron in the game or not, whether he is or not, right? It doesn't matter because he technically is by law, which also means the universe, like the multiverse and the universe itself is in there by law, which means the entire like multiverse of continuities is there. So theoretically, we could be like hopping like multiverses or anything like that. We could use the dead universe and then go into unspace and travel that way, just like it was in the Netflix trilogy. You know, I'll save that for another video, but that's what I'm saying in terms of like limitless potential of this game. When I say that, it's like crazy because we can literally just go anywhere we choose to. We can pull from any timeline, continuity, character, and it's all under Hasbro's IP. So you could get anything from BotBots to Transformers Prime and Bayverse, to Unicron trilogy, or Minicons, which I'm definitely going to be an advocate of. I want them to be in the game. You can literally go from anything. And obviously we know it's going to be interesting with the fact that the Predacon and Maximum factions are in the game. So I really wonder how they're going to be implemented, because the only other thing is like, we've seen that in Rise of the Beasts, and we've also seen that in the Netflix series. So we've seen it in the most recent like Transformers stuff. And obviously they're probably going to be doing it in this game, which makes a lot of sense. But how are they going to be into lore-wise? Because obviously we know the timeline is from G1. Anyways, I'm rambling. I'll save that for the next video, but I thought it was interesting. Like, it goes deep, man. Like, from Cybertronian to Colony Worlds to the Multiverse and Unicron. And it's just interesting, especially because like you could boil this back to like them having access to Teletraan 1. Surely Teletraan 1 knows a lot of this stuff. Like I don't know the extent of Teletraan's knowledge base, but that shit could go hard, man. You pair the knowledge of Teletraan and then just the scientific genius of like Ratchet and Shockwave together. I mean, it's just a matter until we get everything and anything. I mean, we obviously know that's how our characters are going to get their like energon-based abilities and stuff like that. It's going to be synthesized through like Ratchet and Shockwave putting their noggins together and just giving us all matter of crazy shit. Same with the weapons. It's gonna go hard, man. I can't wait for you guys to actually see and experience the game like I have. Like it's gonna go hard, man. I hope we get a trailer Summer Games Fest. It's just gonna go hard. If you want to join the Transformers Reactivate community, we have the largest Discord, subreddit, Twitter group, and remember to follow me on Twitter and subscribe to the channel for all future content coverage and updates of Transformers Reactivate.